Hello and welcome to the series on Microsoft Power Apps. In this video, we'll be looking at our edit screen and adding functionality to edit our employee information. So before we do that, I want to go over to our employees details screen, and I've added a if statement to our image so that it will display an image if there is no image in our SharePoint list. So you can see not all employees have a image. So if there is no image, it will display this default image. So I did the same functionality in the employee screen, whereas if we scroll down, you can see employees who do not have an image will display the default image. So the if statement is the same, and I use that both in the employee screen and in the employee details screen. So that was just one minor change that I implemented. Let's head over back to the edit screen. And what we will be doing is adding an edit form. In the previous video, we added a gallery to display the employee information. We could also add a form. So if we have a look at our forms, you have a display form and an edit form. We could have used form to display the employee's details over here. But I wanted to go with a gallery instead, but you could have used each option. So to insert a form, we go to the Insert menu, and under Insert, we see we have the Edit form, and we can drop that onto our edit screen, and we can position it to the size that we want it. You can see we don't have any data source connected to it. We'll be using the same data source that we've been using, which is our SharePoint list. So to do that, we click on the edit form and we go to the properties. Under properties, you can see we have our employees list. If we click on that, it will refresh. It takes a few seconds. What I want to do, I also want to rename the form. So this would be called our employee form. You could give it any name you want, but I'll be calling it employee form. If we select the employee form again and we go over to item, notice with the gallery it was items, but because this is singular, we're only showing one employee, it's item. And what we want to do is display the gallery information. So if we look at our employees screen, you can see we're getting all of our information from the employee gallery. So we need to use the same gallery. And if we go to the edit screen, we will say our items are coming from our employee gallery. And we need to say dot selected. So this is displaying the employee information for the selected item from our gallery. And once I enter that, you can see it's now displaying the information for the employee that we selected. I did have a problem with this. I was getting some errors. I'm not sure why I was getting the errors, but I went into my employee screen and I had to delete the department and the email address and replace, add it again. And I did the same with the detail screen. So I deleted the department and the email address. For some reason, it was causing a problem with my application. Great, so we can see over here we've got 1, 2, 3 columns, and we have some information at the bottom here, and what we might want to do is tidy that up. So if we click on the employee form, we can also expand it and we can see all of the items that have been added. But if we go to the properties, we can see we've got our data source. We can edit our fields. We'll go into there in a minute. And we also have our columns, so we can specify how many columns we want to display. So do we want to display 2 columns or 3 columns or 4 columns? And should our layout be vertical or horizontal? So I'll leave that on vertical and I will change the number of columns to 2. That looks fine. So what we need to do is we need to edit our fields. You can see the image field is blank because there's no image for that employee. But I won't be editing our employees from this form. The reason why is because if you look at your employee list and go to list details or list settings, and we select our image, it's a field of hyperlink. So you can see over here it's a hyperlink or picture, and we have the format set to picture. You could select hyperlink. if you set it to hyperlink, the images in our application wouldn't display that well, and because it's a picture, it's not so easy to edit it. You could always go back into the application and you could delete this card, or you could set this card to a custom card, but I'm not going to do this for this application. I'd prefer that this image is edited in SharePoint. You could also do the same with other fields. So imagine if you were working with employee information. So position, employees shouldn't be able to change their position because this should be done in a secure manner by the HR department. So maybe this would also be a field you'd not want to include on your form, and this could also be edited in SharePoint. So users who have access to edit the information in SharePoint would only have access to those fields. So I'm going to remove this card, and to do that you need to go into the properties of your employee form, and you can see we've got an option here for field. If we click on edit field, it displays all the fields that we have on our form. So you can see over here for attachment, you can select it and you can remove it. You can also select a specific item and move it up. Or you could also add a custom component. So if we wanted to edit our images, we could add a custom component and manually add the fields to edit that. But as I mentioned, I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to remove that. And we can also add additional fields. So I want to add a custom field. If we have a look at our form, we've got a blank space over here. So if I add another form for last modified or modified by, it will put it over here, but I want to add those two items next to each other at the bottom here. So what I'll do, I'll add a custom form, which will be blank, and it will take up this column space over here. So let's go to edit fields, and we say add custom card. And if we go back to our screen, let's just close that. You can see over here it's added a card. Let's just align it with the position, and this will be an empty field now. Let's go back to edit forms again, or edit fields, and we say add a field. I want to add modified by. So we have modified by and modified, which is going to be a date field. So if we add both of them, you can see over here we've got modified by, and it's got my name in there because I created it and I've edited it. And the date that I last modified it was the 30th of the 11th, 2020. Great. So what we're going to do in our next video is create a new form. So this form over here is edit, but we're going to have a form to add a new item. So I don't want to be displaying modified by and modified date in the new form. So if you select the form, first what we can do, we can select the data card, and we can right click on it and we can say unlock. This will just unlock the properties so you can edit them. And I will go to the Property Explorer and I will go to Visible. Currently it's set to true, but I'll put an if statement there and I'll say if employee form dot mode. So the mode is the function to define if it's an edit or if it's a new form. So if you want to add a new field or if you want to edit a current field. So this is going to be for if the form is set to new, then it won't be visible. But if it is a edit form, it will be visible. So we'll say mode equals new, and then we'll say comma false or comma true. Currently, you won't see this taking effect because this is an edit form, so the formula is going to be correct for that. Instead of typing it, I'll copy it. I'll select my modified date and go down to the field for visible under properties, and I'll remove that true to replace it with the if statement. So if employee form.mode equals new, then it won't display these items, otherwise it will display it. So what we need to do is also add a submit button or a cancel button. So instead of adding a button, I'll be adding an icon. You could also add the button under inputs. We have a button, but I will be adding an icon. So we'll add an icon for save. Let's just move this down here. We can position this in the corner, and we will add another icon for cancel. So again, you could have made these buttons, but I would like to make them icons because I think it looks better. And you can select the icon, and if you go to the color, so we will remove the RGBA value and we will set the value that we have in our template from our properties over here. You could also add a manual value, but because we're using the template, I will be adding that. So let's add that, and the value was template header bar. And you can see it from the drop down. And this changes it to the same color as our template header bar at the top here. Let's do the same for cancel. So if we go up to the color option or the color property, remove the RGBA value, and we will say template header bar. Great. So both those buttons aren't functional, so let's make them functional. So first we want to make the save functional. So we will select the icon. We will go to on select. Remove the false property, and we will say submit form, and we will say employee form. And what we want to do when we've submitted it, we want to go back. So back to the employee's detail screen. So for the cancel button, we will select the cancel button, and we will navigate in the properties to on select. And we will replace false with reset form. And the name of the form is the employee form. And we also want to navigate back. Great, so what that will do is if you click on cancel, it will reset this form and it will navigate back to our employees detail screen. So on the employees detail screen, we also need to add a icon to edit. So if we select the current icon over here for back, let's just copy that and paste it. And we can just move it to the side. And if we select the one in the middle, we want to replace the on select. So in on select, we need to replace the current navigation, and we will replace that with edit form. And the form that we want to edit is the employee form. Close the bracket, and then we'll say navigate to the edit screen. Great. So what that does, if you click on this icon over here, it will go to the employee edit form, and it will also navigate to that edit form. We also need to change the icon. So currently the icon is set to back, and we need to select the edit icon. So let's just recap there quickly. We've added an edit icon with the functionality to navigate us to the edit form on the edit screen. We've also created a employee edit screen with a form on here called employee form. We've removed some of the content from this form, and we've added a modified by and a modified by date. and we've made both of these only visible if this form is set to the mode of edit. If it's in the mode of new, so if we're adding a new item, it won't be displaying this information. We've also added an icon to save the content that we've changed, which when you click on this icon, it will save this information and it will navigate back to our employees detail screen. And we've also added a cancel button. So if we click on this cancel button, it will reset this form. So any information that you've entered in here, it will reset that and will navigate you back. Great. So let's, before we run that, let's save it. Takes a second or two, and let's publish it. You should always get into the habit of saving your application and publishing it, because if you don't publish it, the users won't be able to see the changes that you've made. Great, so let's press F5 or click on the play button, and let's just go to the home screen. So from home, we have our view, add, and about. The add button we'll make functional in the next video, but let's click on view. So you can see over here, we have a number of employees. Let's select an employee without any information, without an image, so Deborah Wheeler. And if we click her name, you can see it's got the default image that's coming from SharePoint because she doesn't have an image in the SharePoint list. It's got her name, the department, her position, and her email address. And over here, we have the icon to edit her profile. So let's click on edit. And let's just make some text over here. So Deborah 1111 and her surname 2222. So Deborah Wheeler 2. We see over here the information when who edited this item and what was the date that they edited. We can cancel this. So if we click on cancel, it doesn't save anything and it navigates us back to this page. If we click on edit again, and let's just type 1 next to Deborah and Wheeler 1, and if we save this, it will save this information and navigate us back to her details page. So over here you can see Deborah 1, Wheeler 1, and if we go back to our SharePoint list and we refresh and we scroll down and we look for Deborah, you can see over here the SharePoint list has been updated with the information that we entered from PowerApps. So Deborah 1 and Wheeler 1. Great. If we go back to our home page, or if we click on the back button, this will navigate us back to our employees overview page. And if we go to our home page, we can see we've got the button here to add a new employee. And this is what we will be adding in the next video. So let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video.